Beloved, welcome back to the homestead. Happy Monday. I've got something a little special for you today. My manservant, Mr. Dry, and I are going to load up the 1-ton with the flatbed and go over to our local sawmill and meet the sawyer, Mr. Fred, and pick up some really beautiful rough-sawn Doug fir for the cozy cabin. I think he's going to let us to film around there. It's an old school sawmill. It's pretty cool, and it's really going to be nice to be able to work with local materials cut right up from Mount Fuji to finish up the inside of the cabin. So let's get everything loaded up, get our straps, and we'll head on over there. Well, beloved, this is where I interject the voiceover. For some reason, the audio didn't pick up on the whole video, which I was really disappointed in, but you're going to get it from me. I'll narrate here on the mic. So right there is our initial order. This is all rough-sawn Douglas fir. The stacks on the bottom are the actual flooring for the cozy cabin. Now, all the stuff is dry. And what I wanted was 1x6. Fred didn't have enough 1x6, and so we mixed up some 1x6 and 1x4, and I thought we would just use both in the floor to make it interesting. Right there, gentlemen, that's what true wealth looks like. Those are all seasoned, dried hardwood slabs, maple, walnut. Here you can see some rough sawn, beautiful, full dimension Douglas fir, red fir. That's an old boom log from the Columbia back in the days when they used to use log rafts. About 30 feet long or so. Old growth. Clear. Here's some 1x material, but isn't that beautiful? The tree of my people, Douglas fir, probably the finest all-around wood you can buy and the best wood in the world, grows right here in my backyard. This is our order coming in. So everything you see in the bottom, of course, is 1x6, 1x8, rough sawn, clear fir for the most part, tight knot. And what we'll do is we will, in 1 week, we'll take that into a 4-head shaper, and they will cut the tongue and groove and do the surfacing. And this will all be done with one pass. I guess it's a 4-head machine. It does 4 things at one time. I've never seen anything like that before, but I'll bring you along if they allow me, because that'll be something that's really cool. In addition to the flooring, we're also picking up, this is the gold right here. CVG fir, clear vertical grain, completely dry, not a knot, not an imperfection in it. Is that not beautiful? That'll be used now for all of the casings around the windows, the trims around the doors, inside and outside. And again, it's rough sawn, so we'll have to plane all of that and prep that. But he set this whole pile aside here. He said, oh, you can just pick through it. You know, some's better than others. Almost everything there was just pristine. I mean, it was absolutely clear, straight, clear vertical grain. I'm so excited that I ended up buying pretty much the whole pile, just apart from a few other pieces that had some wane on it. You'll see a mix there of 1x4, which will go around the windows and doors, and then 1x6 on the top. And it was a real fun process buying from Fred. You know, we're going across there, and I understand that there are imperfections in boards. So when I would grab a 16, I just figured I'd pay for a 16. It's just kind of on me to do the best with it I can. But not Fred. He wouldn't charge us if it had wane or had a knot or anything. He would cut it off. So a 16 with a foot knot on the end of it, he only charged for 15. Now this is interesting. This is called wigwam. Wigwam. I forget something, wigwam burner or furnace. These would have been littered all over the Pacific Northwest, and it was a big furnace. That's how they dealt with all of the waste from the sawmill. Now you can see Fred's sawmill there. We've got that conveyor belt that's coming up, and now that is an automated belt which runs all of the waste, the chips and the bark from the sawmill itself into that big wigwam structure there, and then they would burn it. Now, it's been illegal for some time to burn this way, so now he still uses that, and I asked him how often he fills it up, and him just working by himself, just a one-man sawmill, twice a year. He fills that up with dust. He sells that to the local dairies, which they mix it in with manure for bedding, as well as some of the local horse farms. Some of the most interesting things on a old sawmill are what's behind the scenes. Here's an old burl. This is very valuable. That's gold right there for furniture makers, table makers, and he's got that all slabbed up and banded and ready to sell. Looks like an old British car, and I could have spent days there. Just so many interesting things, and I like to see the old equipment. There's an old International, probably like a D4 size with a logging package on it. It's got the blade, it's got a drum on the back, it's got the canopy, which you wouldn't necessarily have on a cab in those days, but you had to when you're working in the woods to protect you from sticks. More hardwood slabs, everything just bone dry, 10%, 8% dry, maybe less, all stickered, ready to go. You sticker wood like that. Oh, here's his supply. This is all of the mostly Doug fir. Look like there may have been a stick or two of Ponderosa, but all that prep to go into the saw shack there on the left. Now, once he uses the big saw, which you'll see here in a minute, to knock the cants off, to kind of make a round log square, then he brings it over and uses the band sawmill, and that's what he uses to cut dimensional lumber. And it's very common. There's a lot of people that have big pieces of land out here, and you can bring your logs into Fred, and he'll cut them for you right there while you wait. And you can always are welcome to lend a hand for stacking. But there's a self-loader log truck. But this is all customer rough cut red fir, ready for pickup. Now here's the old mill, probably from the 1920s. This came from the Tillamook area and was set up here in our area. He can get logs as big as 40 feet in length on this, and just massive. All of it automated so that one man can run it. You'll see a cant hook is used once the chain rolls the log in to kind of move it into place. And the sawyer, it takes a lot of skill. You have to look at a log and determine what's the best way to cut and how you can get the maximum yield out of it. You'll see a big white disc here on the left. That's what tells the sawyer what he's cutting. So he has to discount 1/3 of an inch for the kerf of the blade, and those numbers up there like a clock, those rotate with that carriage, and as he moves the carriage, he can cut 6x6, 8x8, 12x12, whatever he wants, and all by looking at that disc and in relationship to where that carriage is in the distance away from the giant saw blade. That's a 50 horsepower Westinghouse motor, probably from the 30s, and he said just maintenance free. There's 2 bearings on it. You grease them once in a while. That was that cap he filled up. But 3-phase power, tremendous amount of power. You can see all of the old school panels there on the wall to the right. He said that he doesn't use a lot of power once it's up and running, or he's really pushing through big material. But he said what takes the big power, of course, is the startup on it. But look at all those panels. If you look on the top there, we'll come back to it, you'll see all of the metal that he has found that he's run into with cutting salvage logs and stuff, and that is catastrophic for his sawyer. It is not only this catastrophic, but it's very, very dangerous, and he keeps those as a memento. So this is the big mill. This is what he would use to knock the cants off on the side. Now, if we roll around here, you'll see that this has a lower blade, and these teeth are all replaceable. You spin them out, he sharpens everything there, and if you get something exceedingly big, you can engage that top blade and finish the kerf and cut even more. So kind of a unique Pacific Northwest blade design that came out of the massive old growth forests for dealing with tremendously large red cedars and sequoias and red firs, and just really, really something. But I think he said this sawmill dated back to the 20s. It's been diesel powered and electric powered both. And as far as he knows, it could have been steam powered when it was originally built. And here now he's going to give us a tour of all of the horrible things that he's cut into. Look at that. Buried. Things that are buried or grown around trees. That's why sawmills really don't like to buy trees that are close to buildings, because people have been pounding nails in them. They've used them for brackets, and the bark and the tree will grow around it and hide all this steel or ceramic insulators. This one here is one he just recently hit that just about destroyed his entire blade. Took out every tooth. He was surprisingly good-natured about it. I asked him, my goodness, aren't you reluctant to cut salvage timber? And he's like, oh, that's just part of the deal. we got to talking about crosscut saws, and boy, we could have went on for hours on that. And he had quite a nice collection, and he was sharing some of his there. This is a probably an Atkins, if I had to guess, probably a 12-foot. This would have been a felling saw. A felling saw would be a little bit lighter weight, got a concave in the back, and would have been used for felling timber, where a crosscut bucking saw would have been a little bit thicker, straight on the back, and more rigid for bucking instead of felling. And then, so when we got home, I was very curious to see what the moisture content was, because this is really important to me. If the moisture is too high in the wood, when we try to install the floor, the gaps will open up, and we want it to be nice and tight. So he was guessing his best estimate that it was probably around 10%, which is really phenomenal. If you can get in the single digits, then you are in really good shape. You have a very stable wood. I was absolutely shocked when I put my moisture meter in here. I didn't have my glasses on at first, and I was looking at that, and I thought I was seeing 20%. And I was a little disappointed. I thought, oh goodness, that's going to take probably 4 weeks of stickering that in a heated space with the fans going, keeping it above 70 to make it suitable. And then I put my glasses on, and I realized it's not 20%, it's 2%. 2%. Some of it was 1%. I think the highest I saw was 7%, but most of it was between 2 and 3%, which means it is absolutely bone dry and almost perfectly stable and ready to go. So we made a call down to the folks with the forehead planer, and we made an appointment for 1 week, and we'll just leave everything on the trailer, and we'll roll it up there. We'll have to go into Portland for that, and they'll run it through there and put the tongue and groove on it and plane both sides in one pass, and we're going to have some of the finest lumber I've ever seen. And look at how stable that is. 1%, 0%. I think Fred knows what he's doing, and we're very grateful to have local wood cut from our own forest. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful addition to the cozy cabin. Thanks for watching. May God bless you and your families, and we'll see you all on the next video.